Hi everyone. I want to focus on what it would look like to develop a restorative community. This is a situation where I'm new to a building as the administrator and they don't know anything about restorative practices. So I would start this out by having a circle. And in the circle, the first thing we would do is explain the circle and discuss the guidelines. After that conversation and norms are kind of set up and established, then the opening question will be, how are you feeling right now? This will give everyone a turn to go around and sort of center themselves and what baggage they brought or what positive feelings they brought. After that, then we will focus more on what is something that gives you negative affect or makes you feel badly. And as we're sharing, a list will be generated of things that cause people to feel poorly or negatively. This next thing will be then focusing on positive affect and what is something that makes you feel good. And a list will be generated from that so that we'll have concrete evidence of what people in that room need to feel good or to feel not so good. Once that is done, we'll talk about the fact that restorative practices the goal of it is to have people feeling more in the positive more of their day. And the good way to do that is to identify what makes you feel good and to try to spend time acknowledging the negative affect, but then moving forward past it and figuring out ways that can happen. From there, the conversation will move specifically to the school. What do you think in our school works? What works in our school? And everyone will go around and brainstorm a list of things that they think works and makes the school a good place. After that list is generated, and that will be kept as a roadmap for where we will move forward, then we will ask, okay, what is something you want to change about your school? And that list will be generated. It doesn't mean everything is going to change. It just means that these are things that people are not happy with that want to have some movement. Following those discussions, then the circle will be closed by talking about something that you are hopeful for in the coming year. The important thing here is that this circle is not going to be the end. This is just the beginning, and staff and people that work in the building, other adults, need to know that this is just a start. This is creating a roadmap for how you're going to create a restorative community where everyone feels safe and protected in the environment. I wanted to focus on an incident where a student is repeatedly causing physical harm to other students. And this is happening daily over perhaps a week in time, where this is every couple of days or every day the student is causing harm by poking or stabbing another student with this. It's not always the same student. So in dealing with this student, with just the student who caused the harm, I would start by talking through the restorative questions, the ones that we've all been trained to use. What happened? How did you feel when it happened? As the student is answering the questions, I'm going to parrot back his responses to clarify, because I've learned that if you aren't clarifying what the student says, sometimes there are misconceptions. Once that conversation is over or completed to the point, then I will focus on who was harmed. So often I've discovered that students don't acknowledge anyone being harmed other than the student they stabbed or hurt. And so this is a good time to say, well, what about the teacher? How was the teacher injured or harmed? And use the term harmed rather than injured, because they don't always see that. And then move forward. Okay, so who was harmed? How are they harmed? And kind of go through all of that. And finally end the conversation by talking about how the harm with each of these people can be repaired. Now with a younger student, I don't know that you could possibly repair the harm with everybody without losing focus. But I think focusing on the person that was the actual recipient of stick stab, as well as moving on to another person. In this case, it could be the teacher, or it could be an adult on the playground who had to stop what they were doing to address the incident. And I think students need to be aware of how their behavior affects everyone, and doing it that way is a good way to move.